Good evening, and welcome to Walpole Media's coverage of the Good evening. I'm Eric Kraus, and thank you for joining us today on Walpole Media's coverage of the annual town election for Saturday, June 2nd, 2018. I am joined by my dear friend, Ron Fusil, and many of you who are watching this either on channels 30, channel 22, or on YouTube know Ron. He was our town clerk for 21 years before retiring 2.5 years ago. And Ron has been in our wonderful town for the better part of 5 decades. So welcome, Ron.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Eric. And it's wonderful to be here with you, doing something that I never did before, which is to be on this side of an election. I always was on the other side, which was scurrying like Liz is right now to get all the results in a proper and good manner. And she will do that very shortly, but until she does, you can listen to Eric and I tell you some of the backgrounds of the different offices and anything that the chairman thinks we should be doing.
Well, chairman is a term that was associated with me up to about 19 minutes ago. I didn't run, and we have a very, very competitive race for selectmen, which we'll get into. But I really, I was very respectful, and I really was dedicated to this town, and I enjoyed being a selectman immensely. And it's a bittersweet day for me. But you know what? I think I leave the town in better shape than when I became a selectman, and we've done some great things, and I know working with you, Ron, was terrific. I will tell you this, because you don't get on TV a lot. The camera really doesn't add 10 pounds. It adds a little more, but I have like 6 cameras focused on me right now, so that's why I may look a little bigger than I am.
I hope it doesn't add 10 pounds to me. I don't need it.
So why don't we do this, because we will probably get results somewhere around the 8:40, 8:45 time period. Why don't we begin by doing a review of the town races, and why don't you start with a position in this town that you dealt with for every town meeting for 21 years, and that's the town moderator.
The town moderator is a very powerful, influential position. The town moderator appoints people to the finance committee, to the FinCom. I'm sorry. What did I say? FinCom, not sewer and water. I'm sorry. FinCom, which is, will review all of the articles that go to the town meeting. So the moderator has a very influential position in that the people that usually run for this position usually have a background in law or in industry. And we have 2 very good candidates, Daniel Bruce, who is the present moderator, and Harry Bousaides, who is opposing him.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, Ron, because as town clerk, you dealt with the moderator at town meeting. You were joined at the hip, and this is the one that confuses me the most, on why this is a 1-year term instead of a 3-year term, or even longer than that.
Well, it is a charter requirement, as we well know. The moderator has his position defined in the charter, and at the time of the charter in 1970, when it was put together, 71, that was determined that it be a 1-year term rather than any longer than that, given the influence that the moderator has on the town.
Yeah, I can see that. I always draw the parallel in Washington to people that are in the House of Representatives, congressmen. It's a 2-year term, and when you get in, you're almost running for re-election immediately. I can't even fathom having a 1-year term, because, quite frankly, it's over before it begins. So.
Well, in some ways, that's why the moderator is 1 year, because
he has the impact.
He doesn't get to dig his heels in, so to speak. Yeah. And given that the committees that he does represent or appoints, it probably is a good thing that it is the way it is.
Right. No, I agree with that. And as you said, 2 very talented individuals running for moderator, Dan Bruce, who I know very well. He's a senior executive at a major bank, and Harry Mercedes, who has done just a bang-up job as the head of our Chamber of Commerce here. Wonderful man, very smart financial analyst and financial provider. So we'll see how we net out there. The next race is obviously something that has been dear to me, and that is the race for selectmen. It's a 3-year term, and there are 2 open spots, and we have 4 very qualified candidates. And this is a classic example, Ron, of when you have 4 people and you have 2 that will not be serving. I really hope the 2 that unfortunately won't win tonight will either A, stay with it for future selectmen races, or pick another board or committee, because they're just 4 very talented people. First on the ballot is the incumbent, David Salvatore. I know David extremely well. He sat to my right for 3 years as a selectman. He and I came up 3 years ago together on the same ballot, and very dedicated, committed individual. He is joined in the selectman race by a newcomer to our municipality's elections, and that's Benjamin Barrett. Very young, aggressive, smart guy. Really impressed with him. I think he can do a lot of good for this town, and we'll see how that works. Jim O'Neill, a former selectman. I am as transparent is. He's a dear friend of mine, and I've known Jim. He's worked on several committees with me. While I was an RTM, he was a selectman. I can't say enough good things about him. Brilliant guy, and he too can do wonderful things for the town. And then the current chairman of the board of the FinCom, Paul Stas, and Stas is another very dedicated individual, very sharp and very committed. And it's really lousy, Ron, when you have 4 great candidates and 2 aren't going to make it.
That's why we have an election.
Yeah, it really is. And quite frankly, I feel much better knowing the quality of candidates that are running for selectmen now that I'm not. And that's not from an egotistical standpoint, but when you do this, there is no stipend. You're doing this because you have a vision for the town. And the Board of Selectmen, I think this past year, got a lot accomplished. And I hope the 2 that move on will continue, because there's much work to be done. One side note, the polls are closed, and we are waiting for the votes to be tabulated right now. And as soon as we get the results, we will provide them to you. So please continue to watch. The next race, Ron?
The next race is the assessors race. It's a 3-year term. Ed O'Neill is unopposed. These are the people that assess our taxes, evaluate our homes, and it's a process that these people are very involved with. Ed has been on the board for many, many years, and I congratulate him on his win.
Yeah, we don't need to, unless there is a wicked write-in campaign, we're pretty sure that Ed's going to win.
Being the town clerk for the amount of years I was, it would be almost impossible, but I guess I should hold my congratulations.
Yeah. The next race is sewer and water, a 3-year term, 2 seats open, 4 very qualified people running in that. And we have Patrick Fasanello, who's been a longtime sewer and water commissioner for our town. We have William Kukwa, who another talented individual. A gentleman, Glenn Maffey, who has really, over the last 3-4 years, become really heavily involved in our town. This young man has the passion and the dedication and has a terrific vision. And quite frankly, whether it's water or sewer or another committee or advisory board, he's really committed to our town. And then James P. Taylor. And Jimmy Taylor has been in our town forever, and he's very dedicated, and we'll see who wins sewer and water.
Very good. School committee, 3-year term, 2 seats open, and as you can see, 2 people are running in unopposed for the position. Both of them have been on the school committee for many years, at least Bill Buckley has. Jennifer Geositz, she has been on for at least 1 term prior to that. They're the ones that determine
Current
our
chair,
schools.
right? Current chair of the
She's the
school.
current chair, that's right, Eric, she is the current chair. They determine our schools, the condition, the curriculum, and everything else that goes along with it. As you found out the other night, Jean Kenny, the assistant superintendent of schools has resigned her position, and they will have a new assistant to the superintendent.
Yeah, and it's a great committee, and quite frankly, I'm glad to see both of them. And again, if there's a write-in campaign, I don't want to jinx it, but two very committed. And earlier today, we did the fire station dedication for the new building, and Bill Buckley sang the national anthem. And I have to tell you, I've known Bill for many, many years, and I didn't know he was a talented singer, but he sang the national anthem, and quite frankly, it was one of the best renditions I've ever heard. So,
He's been singing at St. Mary's for so many years.
yeah, absolutely terrific. The next race is library trustee, 3-year terms. 2 seats are open. Sheila Harps and Barry Ormlin, both running, and congratulations to both of them. I know the town is very happy that they are going to be dedicating their time and serving our community as library trustees.
Well, I keep on getting the unopposed committee. Catherine Turco-Abate, better known as Katie to me. Katie is now running for her 3-year term. She was appointed to the board and had to run after 1 year. Katie is a very influential, dedicated town of Walpolean. Katie is terrific, and she has served on the planning board, and she will do another great job for 3 years.
And I gotta tell you, she is so committed, she's so good. The work that she's done with the elders and the new council on aging building and everything else she touches, terrific person. Housing Authority will be the next race. It's a 5-year term. And congratulations to Joseph Doyle running unopposed, and hopefully he will serve with the commitment and dedication that we expect from all of these appointments. Turning to the town meeting.
Town meeting, representative town meeting.
For the people that are watching in layman's terms, Ron, what's the best way to describe an RTM?
The RTM is our representatives to the town. Through them, you can petition and through the Board of Selectmen get articles on the town warrant. They are the people that approve the warrant, which is the spending for the town and everything else that the town does. They are representative of us. There's 150 of them, and they are spread out across 8 precincts. You can, at any time, get a hold of your representative town meeting representative, or any one of them, and ask them for anything that you feel is important to your precinct, or any other precinct, but certainly within your precinct, you have somebody that represents you, and you can go to that person or persons and ask them to do things.
Terrific. So in precinct 1?
Precinct 1, we have 8 people running for 6 open seats.
And I think everybody can see on the screen, we don't have to do it, but the key here is 8 people, 6 spots.
Right.
In precinct 2, we have 7 seats open and 7 people running, 3-year terms. Congratulations to all 7 of them.
Precinct 2, there's 1 seat open for a 2-year term. It is contested, so you had to pick one of the 2 in precinct 2 to represent you as the final seat that was open in the precinct.
Great. In precinct 3, we have 7 seats open. It's a 3-year term, and we have 8 people volunteering and running. And it's a contested race, and again, very, very successful people running, and it's great to see the turnout.
Precinct 4, that's my precinct. And there's 7 seats, 9 people running for that, for their seats, and I hope they do a good job for me.
And if you turn the page, continue.
There's also precinct 4. I forgot that. I didn't forget it when I was voting. William Carroll, he's running for a 2-year term for a seat that's unopposed.
And we can congratulate Mr. Carroll right
Yes,
now.
we certainly can.
Yeah. Precinct 5, 6 spots open, 7 people running for those 6 spots. Again, one person won't make it, and that's unfortunate, but all very talented people. One of them is Joanne Mulligan, and the only reason I'm calling Joanne out, it is her birthday today. We saw her earlier, and we wanted to wish her a lovely birthday.
And she's closing the door so she doesn't happen.
Also in Precinct 5, there is a 1-year term open and 1 seat open, so there will be a race there. It is contested.
Precinct 6, 3-year terms, of course, 7 seats open, which 9 people vying for those seats. Precinct 6 has some pretty heavy hitters.
Yes, they most certainly do. And you have the 3-year term, and then
And
I
then
believe-
there's also a 1-year term available in Precinct 6. And there is 2 people vying for that 1 seat. And good luck to both of them.
Right. Precinct 7, we have 8 seats open. We have 11 people running for RTM in that precinct, and I will not comment on any of them.
Well, I'll comment on one of them, Louis Hegler. Louis Hegler is
Teddy
probably,
is the best.
if we had to rename the town, we would have to call it after Ted. Ted has been involved in everything that is RTM, town clerk, and on and on. He part of the charter, early charter committee. So certainly Louis E. Hegler is a man of repute.
And when at my last selectmen's meeting 2 weeks ago, I said some closing comments, and one of the things I did religiously as a selectman is called on a number of people, an eclectic group of people from all parts of the town. And Ted was one that gave me incredible insight and counsel, and I'm so thrilled that he's gonna be on town. Hopefully, one of our RTMs.
And last but not least is Precinct 8, where there'll be a Donnybrook. There's 12 people contesting for 6 seats. So I wish you all luck, and don't meet in the forest. And
Great. Well, so that's a little preview of what's in store in a few minutes. Because we have some time, the polls are closed, we're waiting for the results. Ron and I asked a couple people to join us today, the first of which is a dear friend of mine, probably the Grand Marshal, not only of Walpole Day a few years ago, but the Grand Marshal of the town, and that's my dear friend Richard McCarthy. I've known Rich for as long as I've been in this town, for 2.5 decades. He is a townie. He grew up here. He worked in the Walpole public school system. He ran Babe Ruth. He's a umpire aficionado. But most important right now in this phase of his life is he is president, or actually chairman, of the Council on Aging. And we asked Rich to come in today and just, Rich, give us a quick rundown. You know, as a selectman, I left very proud that we could build a new senior center. We got tremendous help from the Walpole Cooperative Bank and a number of donors. And quite frankly, it was incredible that we could do it. It's not built yet, but it's in the process. And Rich, you have been one of a handful of people that have committed yourself to this. So welcome, and why don't you tell me what you're up to?
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank both you and Ron for the outstanding job that you did representing the town throughout Ron with his career, and Eric with your volunteers being selectmen and other town meeting members and stuff. So I want to thank you on behalf of the town of Walpole.
Thank you very much coming from you. It's quite a compliment.
Basically, I've been fortunate, timing in life came in that I retired from school and was looking for something to do, and everybody says, well, the Council of Aging is looking always for volunteers and stuff like that. So I sort of went down there a few times and stuck around and liked what I saw, and luckily I was able to get onto the ground floor of the new building being started, and now I'm trying to help the Friends raise some additional money, basically now going for programming as opposed to fixtures and things like that. So, so today I went around to different places, promoting our newest product,
And your newest product
which
is?
is a engraved brick, which is gonna be installed in the patio area around the back of the new Council on Aging.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to go in the building last week, on Tuesday's
It's coming
building
along
meeting,
nicely.
and it was really thrilling to see it coming to life.
Yeah, I will tell you, the one platform when I wanted to become a selectman a long time ago was a new senior center. I just was incredibly disturbed that we would think that the cafeteria in an old school building that now is our town hall was suitable for the most important population in our town. And while I'm not continuing as a selectman, I feel really good that we were able during my tenure to at least get it to this stage. And quite frankly, Rich, without the involvement of you, without the involvement of Cliff Snuffer, without the involvement of Mark Gallivan, the Friends of the Elders, Tom Brady, Katie Turco, that whole group, without so many other people being involved, we could never do it. And we're doing it like we did with the fire station, the police station, and the DPW facility without an override. And on behalf of the town, and you know me, I've said this several times, thank you so much for your commitment.
Thank you very much. One of the things that I did is that when I look at this building, this is where I went to school.
Right.
This is my first grade room. They put a picture of the front of the building on Facebook the other day, and I said, I think I sat at the fourth window coming down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do wish you luck and the best of what you do in the future.
Thank you.
And Ron, enjoy the rest of your retirement.
Right, and if anybody wants to buy a brick, Rich, how do they do
They can
that?
contact this senior center here, or they can contact me, or you can go to Walpole, www.friendsofwalpoleelders.org, and there's a buy a brick right in the, when you open up.
Great, thank you, my
Very good.
friend.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, Rick.
And also, just so remember, we are broadcasting on Station 30, Station 22 on YouTube. And we will have this meeting starting about an hour after, 2 hours.
Sam.
Midnight tonight will be, this whole show and all the results will be on video on demand, walpolemedia.tv, and YouTube as well. Joining us now is a gentleman who also should be no stranger to many of us, Sam Obar. Sam has been a political pundit in our town, has been an RTM, but I have to tell you, he has done an absolutely terrific job as the chairman of the historical committee. And did I get that right?
Yep.
And quite frankly, you know, Sam has been involved in town politics in Walpole for several years. A very intelligent, very dedicated and committed person in our town. And while his vision for Walpole may differ from my vision of Walpole and another person's vision of Walpole, at least he has a vision for Walpole. And please never stop with your vision. Sam, welcome.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here. Very pleased to be invited.
Great sunburn.
Do I have one?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't, you do.
Well, I've been, yeah, I mean, I was up at 7:30
Yep.
This morning, supporting all the great team that I was supporting, and so it's been a long day.
Yeah, very much so. What do you think? What did you hear out in the field? By the way, I think before we get, okay, before we get into the questions, I think the final was 19% turnout today, which was a little higher than both you and I predicted. 19% isn't bad, but what do you feel?
You know, where is the remaining 80%? I mean, you know, what are they doing? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, you know, and the only thing I can explain it is that there's a lack of information. We have no real local newspaper in this town other than the Hometown Weekly. You know, I know it's a fact,
It is.
and
Very much so.
because they do not have enough information about what's going on in the town.
Do you
as far as
think that's what
who's
it
running.
is, or do you think it's just a lack of interest?
Well,
This has been a burning
yeah.
issue for me.
I think you know, when people don't know who's running and what the issues are, then they would not vote. And some people don't even know that it was an election. So I think that's a real problem. Is that there's not a lot of information. We've seen a lot of stuff going around on social media. I think this is becoming the new norm in Walpole. That social media is becoming the way that people get their news about what's going on in town.
Well, and I would only stop you. You use the word news, and quite frankly, I think that's a misnomer.
That's true.
There's diatribe.
Yeah.
Because news, I think social media, you can hide behind it and say what you want, and it sometimes is fact, and most times it's a little fact and a lot of fiction.
Right. I agree with that. And so
it's opinionated. It's
yeah.
You know.
But yeah, now so you guys don't have the results yet, so I'm not allowed.
No. But we are waiting for the votes. They're being tabulated right now. We're going to have the results probably.
You got them already?
In.
Yeah. I already know who won, but.
Oh no, they're being tabulated.
So I can't.
Wait a
We
minute.
cannot share them until we get them officially from our town clerk.
Just so everybody out there can understand, there are tabulations that are put on the school windows. One of the requirements is that Liz gets at least 2 copies, and 1 copy goes on the school window. Everybody could, if they wanted to, go to each one of the schools and see who won, basically. So I'm not saying that's what Sam did, but certainly that is one of the options that is available to every citizen of the town of Walpole.
Right.
Yeah.
Just before I let you get away too far.
And
thinking
I
that
would be
you're ahead of
remiss
us.
in the audience here. We have former Selectman Bill Hamilton, and we have current Selectman Ann Regosto watching. The place is packed. What do you think? 400 or 500 people?
Yeah,
here,
right,
Sam?
we went there.
Yeah.
Ron?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. And so anyway, let's continue. I know you have the unofficial results, but any surprises when you were out there today?
During the day?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was surprised by how active Fisher School is compared to the other locations. So
Right.
so I was at all 3 locations, and you go to OPR, and the place is like empty.
Right. Always has been.
Yeah. Well, and part of it because there's only 2 precincts there. But
right.
then at Fisher, the place is like an airport. You got people going in and out, and it's just like it's like and then even at Blackburn, which is 3, 4, and 5, it's like, you know, you see like a stream, but it's not as much as Fisher. And so I don't know what it is about 6, 7, and 8, but there's something to those precincts. I don't know whether those precincts see higher turnout, but there's definitely more of like a more concentration of people turning
So,
out there.
you know, for me, the selectmen's race is always the most interesting, given my background in the town. You are an informed, educated member of Walpole. For the selectmen in the rest of 2018 and the start of 2019, what do you think the big issues are going to be?
So I think that the big issue that at least one incumbent selectman has been talking about is the new school issue, and so that's you know, as we move forward with that, that's gonna continue
That's
to
a
be
big issue.
Yeah, that's a big issue. I think there's a lot of people who are still looking for a resolution at 1350 North Street. The whole, you know, the
Now, just because we do have people, the what is your take, especially given your role on the historic committee?
Yep.
What is your take? We debated this at town meeting for hours and hours, and quite frankly, there were good arguments on both. But given your role on the historical committee, give us your take on that.
So it's definitely a historically significant house, and it's definitely a historically significant neighborhood. I would say that the owners should be making more effort to find someone who will acquire that property. I'm a little concerned with I've been told that there's that a meeting has been held between the owners of the property and the town
Yes.
to attempt to resolve that, but it doesn't sound like there's anything really that's resulting from that, which is unfortunate. They do have an additional 6 months on the they have an additional 6-month delay on tearing down the structure.
Because we voted that at town meeting,
yes,
correct?
because-
Was that grandfathered? How does that work?
No, it's
Ron?
not grandfathered.
That's a,
So we passed it and then,
no, it's not grandfathered. It's,
Okay.
it is a requirement of the charter that in fact, any building over 100 years old must be held
Yeah.
to a standard, and once that standard is met, they would have to, then it would come off the rolls.
no, but my question is, it was 6 months. At town meeting, we increased it another 6 months to
Right.
a year. I just didn't know if there was something in the works, if it was covered under the 6 months or now it's 12 months.
Yeah, so supposedly, town council ruled that it is not grandfathered, it applies automatically without
Right.
without any vote. And it was, but the thing is, there was a concern that it would not be, because all changes to town bylaws have to be certified by the Attorney General's office, and so there was some concern that it would not be certified in time before the 6-month delay ended, but it just made it by, I guess, a day.
Yeah.
Let me just go back to your concern about the precincts. In precincts 6, 7, and 8, you have 12 people running for 6 seats. I think one of the reasons is what we're discussing right now for the last 5 minutes is, in fact, that House has given an issue to those precincts. I said before, and I'll say it again, if there's an override, you get more people out.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you should have overrides. It just means that you will get more people out because there's a concern.
Right.
But also, if you take the three type of elections you have, you have a local one, which is a touchy-feely, and we don't get enough people. You have the state one, which is the second highest, usually in the 60 to 70%. And then you have the federal one, which is most removed from us, and almost 85% of the people turn out. What I'm trying to say is more people should get out locally because that's what you are influencing. You're influencing the people that are sitting in front of you, that are right here, and not the people down in Washington, as you can see what they do. So, get out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think voter turnout is often driven by issues, and in this election, one of the incumbent selectmen, Salvatore, attempted to make a big issue out of the school issue, and so maybe that created a lot of turnout. But I think Ron is right. Then in precinct 8, the House was a big issue.
Yeah.
And so it's all about issues. As we know, anytime there's like a bad project that's being talked about in town, then that drives people out.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. 19%, and Liz will bring in the results shortly. It isn't bad, but I would have expected a little more. But as my wife is always telling me, if there's not a ballot issue, if there's not a state or a federal election, people are, and it's a nice day out.
Yeah.
I understand it. I don't like it, but I understand it. But I do think 1350 North Street is going to be an issue for the selectmen and other committees, but it's really not 1350 North Street. It is, what are the bylaws? Do they need to be updated? One of the things when I became a selectman, and you were involved in this too, that seems to have gone by the wayside is the whole table of usage.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't even know where that sits today. I know we've changed certain things. I know we had a huge argument over may or shall in our bylaws, but where does that sit? Do you know,
I
Sam?
actually do not know. I do not know.
And it was such a hotbed issue years ago, and it's just died.
I know. Yeah, it's been, the town needs a lot of reforms,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, I don't think I want to offer my
No, and that's not the
my
purpose
views.
now. No, you have other channels to do that, but you know what, as I said...
I have a lot to say on that topic.
No, but as I said, we all have spent a lot of time in the town dealing with this, and it's just very interesting. What do you see, in addition to the moderator race, the selectman race, the other contested race was sewer and water, which is always, I think over the last 2 or 3 years, sewer and water has really been a hotbed. First with what was going on with Jarvis Farm, but I mean, we are a single source aquifer. That aquifer is by far the most valuable asset that this town has.
Yeah.
Not only it's the most important asset that this town has, what are your views, not on who wins or loses, but on the importance of that committee.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's interesting because a few years ago, you could remember when someone like James B. Taylor ran unopposed for that committee. And this is a very important committee. This oversees a huge amount of spending, and they're very independent and autonomous. And they have a huge amount of authority, and yet for years there was no opposition, nobody was interested in running. It was always, you know, one person would run. And, you know, I think that, I think that now, you know, not only with the Jarvis Fund, but the MWRA, which this year, which came up this year, you know, the town may be running out of water. You know, we gave a lot of water to Siemens, and you know, and I think that there's a, you know, there's a concern. Okay, we need to start planning for the future. I mean, it has to do with the town's infrastructure, and so I really was excited to see the amount of competition this year. There were some very strong candidates.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's what we've talked about. The three of us have talked about. You have an election, I get it, right? But these aren't paid positions, and when people want to volunteer their time and they're quality people, I hate to see people turned away.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are a number of committees in this town and boards that people can serve on. We're always looking for good people. You know, I have always thought that the only politics in the town are running for these seats, and then it's the most purest form of community service.
Yeah.
But I hate to turn people away, and I know the selectmen's race, 2 people. This is the first time in a long time that you've really had, you know, despite people's views, 4 really good candidates, and hopefully the 2 that didn't win will find another channel, another opportunity.
Yeah.
Hopefully the people on the RTMs and the contested races, Ron, that we went over, they'll find another committee or they'll keep on going, because if you lose, you're not losing because of you. You might not have name recognition, you might not have as much experience as someone above you or below you on the ballot, but that doesn't mean you can't make a contribution, you know? But
yeah, I think, you know, the RTM races are, you know, for years we've had such,
We're about to catch up.
yeah, okay, all right, yeah. So I was gonna say, because a lot of towns have a lot of challenges finding people to run for RTM.
Right.
Walpole has not had that challenge
Right.
these past few years, which is
No,
great.
absolutely. So if we can grab those.
Thank you.
The results are in, and please stay with us. We will be back in 60 seconds to tell you who the winners are, so do not go away.